And we are live, everybody. Welcome to MLB Strategy Show, Thursday, September 5th. I'm Josh Engleman here to break it all down. We've got a 5-game slate tonight. And that is what we're going to be breaking down today. I thought we were going to be going a little later, doing a live before lock, but contests just don't support it. DraftKings is basically running nothing for the 4-game early. So we are going to focus on the main slate for today. I'm Josh Engleman, by the way. I don't know if I said that. Follow me at Josh Engleman. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. Follow me everywhere you can. Follow us everywhere you can. That's what we're going for today. I think we're going to have a real thin crowd today, folks. First day of the NFL season kicking off. Not expecting a lot of caring about baseball, which means we should feel more confident. Coffee's hitting that spot today. So I've run my model. I've got my projections loaded. I've run my top stacks tool. I've run my top pitchers tool. Let's see what's up at Stochastic right now. Projections are up. And ownership is up. Awesome. Shout out to the boys behind the scenes for that one. I'm going to grab all of the Stochastic data, and then I'm going to run my sim. We could talk about what we think the top stacks are for a bit until that finishes off, and then we'll be right as rain. Stop me if you've heard this one before, though, guys. The best pitching play on today's slate comes from the Atlanta Braves. That is happening. That is happening. All right. Top stacks, top pitchers, all loaded. Let's make sure. Yeah, that looks good. Let's make sure that's coming through. It is. Run my ownership. Boom. Yeah, we got this running, and then we'll get an idea of where this slate stands. I ran a sim yesterday, which was fun. About 6:15. And I was like 3xing the Mariners. And then I ran it again, and I didn't have much Mariners. And then I woke up and hated myself. But that's not all that different than any other day. All righty. Let's open up the salary structure a little bit. Let's make sure this is actually running. It is. Now we wait. But we can break down this slate and talk about some of the highly ranked teams and what we're seeing here. Number one team on today's slate is Philadelphia Phillies, or at least in my eyes and in the eyes of Stochastic.com. Number one in top stack. I actually have them as a better value than we do. You have Schwarber, Turner, Harper at the top in the 5K range. They also deserve those salaries. You know, you're cornering the market on a shortstop for Trey Turner. Obviously, we know Schwarber just won't stop hitting dongs. Maybe Harper doesn't play today. He did take one to the elbow. But we don't know that right now. But again, you know, we're looking at somewhere in like the 17 to 23% range top stack. 10 to 13% top value. Are they the number one owned team? They are. 15%. However, still looks great. Adam Oller on the hill on the opposite side. He projects terribly. 17% K rate, 9% walk rate, 5.48 FIP via steamer. No bit of that looks good. The only thing that's saving this spot, nothing's really saving it, but the park really ruins righty power. Unfortunately for the Marlins, Kyle Schwarber hits from the left side. Bryce Harper, if he's playing today, will hit from the left side. even Marsh or Clemens pop from the left side. So this is only a little bit more limiting to someone like Trey Turner or Nick Castellanos or JT Realmuto, but Adam Aller offsets the negative park. So as I look at it, I agree that the Phillies look fantastic here. But we also have another team that's 15% owned. Exact same ownership, essentially. Right at the same spot. There's a gap before you get to the third team. I have the Braves second. The site has the Braves second. We both have them right around 10.5% top value. But again, we shouldn't be surprised by that. Austin Gomber going for the Rockies. Now, Gomber is fine-ish in comparison to some of these other idiots that they trot out. But you're still getting a 4K Michael Harris in the leadoff spot. That is, in this spot, probably $1,000 too cheap for that lineup spot in this matchup against Colorado. You still have that outfield trio at the top, which, like, I mean, the power here. Soler, Ozuna, Olsen, Murphy, even Ramon Laureano, too, has some pop. Like, there's massive upside for the Braves today from a home run perspective. I think they're relatively cost efficient. Like, I don't mind the pricing. What I mind is the positionality. So whether I get more, I'm expecting to get more of Philly than Atlanta. Like, I have Philly 7% more likely to be the top stack. And I think that's going to create a situation where I probably don't get much of Atlanta, given the fact that Atlanta and Philly are comparably owned. But they are very clearly the top two stacks today. The team that I have third is actually the Angels. Very curious to see this. Where do we have the Angels? Why do I have the Angels so high? Yeah, I have them third. We have them eighth. And I don't really agree with me here. But we are looking at a situation with Cody Bradford on the hill for Texas. We're in a park that plays up righty power. I want to walk through this whole thing because I think I can convince everybody that I'm right. And it's getting seen in the data differently. So let's start by evaluating Cody Bradford, which I have up on the screen right now. Cody Bradford this season, relatively limited sample. 210x ISO against lefties in 200 pitches. That's not relevant for us right now. The Angels are projecting 9 righties. This year, 180x ISO, but he's not getting hit around. But it's a small sample. If you add in last year, we get up to a pitch sample of 1,400, 225x ISO. Now, the WOBA is fine, and the swinging strike rate's okay. But we're seeing a guy that definitely gives up power to righties. And he's pitching in a park that gives up more power to righties than maybe any park in the league. I'm going to double check it right now. So if we take people batting from the right side, home runs. So the Rangers are at 104 this year, 138 last year, 110 the year before. If we take the rolling average, the Rangers have the third highest park factor for righty power. As I see this, this looks like a great spot for righties. And I think the Angels are getting misrepresented. I actually have the raw talent of this Angels offense. People are going to buckle up for this one. Better than the Rangers. Now, there's no Seager in this lineup, so we have I can see it. And Kokanchowitz or whatever isn't great, but I kind of like the idea of betting on the Angels, particularly I would like sort of like the reverse line. I would like to give a run here because I think when the Angels win, it's going to be because they hit a bunch of home runs off of Cody Bradford. So whether it's Taylor Ward, Zach Neto, Joe Adell, Logan O'Hoppe, like we're set up for high level righty power. Well, not high. Hold on. We're gonna rewind that back. We have high level power, multiple guys with 180 plus X ISOs going against a guy that gives up power to righties in a park that gives up power to righties. I think the upside for the Angels is massive, and these guys are free. The most expensive guy in this projected lineup is Zach Neto at 4,400. So am I probably a little optimistic on their top stack odds right now? Yeah. By the way, I bet Zach Neto to homer. But these guys are going to get slept on. I think they're unequivocally the best value for today. Even stacking them, you get a shortstop early, you get a third baseman early, you get a catcher in the 5th spot. So you can even getting like a 4-man of this team, outfield, short, third, catcher. This is going to be the team that we take a look at when we build this out in the single lineup sim in a few minutes. But as I look at this right now, I expect the Angels to be the team that I am most over the field on. We didn't even get to the best part because I just outlined why this matchup looks good for the Angels. Righty power, park, lefty on the hill. The biggest factor here is that Cody Bradford's 40% owned. That's the second highest owned guy on today's slate. We are getting a team with power potential in a park that plays it up against a pitcher that gives it up. And that pitcher is in 40% of lineups. I think the Angels are the number one stack on today's slate. Prove me wrong. Aaron, I will not do the early games. If DraftKings isn't going to make it a real slate, neither am I. They basically are running one contest. So, apologies. It's just there's no. They're punting today for the NFL. Look, is it going to happen a lot? No. We're not like more often than not, we're not going to get paid off on this one. But as I look at it right now, I think all signs point to the Angels being the sneakiest team you can get to. Now, look, I shouldn't say sneaky because they are getting ownership. Not like zero. They're like middle of the pack. We've got this group of teams where it's like the Pirates, the Nats, the Rangers, the Angels, the Padres, the Tigers. They're all in this like 8 to 12 range. The Marlins and the Rockies separate to the dog shit side. The Phillies and the Braves separate to the good side. Who's my favorite Angels play? I don't really think about it like that. Can we stop for a second and notice that they have 3 second basemen? That's not going to help. Let's be clear here. You can only roster one of these dudes. Hopefully they wiggle this a little bit or something because 3 second basemen will make it less appealing and it will make the stacks more overlappy. But the best play, Jacob, is Zach Neto, and it's not close. He's a $4,400 shortstop. He has pop from the right side against lefties. Everything plays into it, but you're checking off the most premium position. To me, it's Neto. I think Zach Neto might be the best play on today's slate. Unless you want to say it's Joe Adell. But I love the Angels today for what this matchup entails. Everything points in the right direction. What's the line to bet the Angels giving 1.5? I'm just going to fire that right now because I like it. In my mind, I feel like I need to support me. All right, so alt line. Angels minus 1.5 is plus 200. Yes, sir. Honestly, oh man, that extra. I'm going to go minus 2.5. Had to do it. I feel too good about it. Do I pull leverage from somewhere or do I calculate it? I pull it. Let's see. Who do I have as my number one leverage play? Let me pop this over to a different table. There we go. So if we're talking about just this slate, I'll make this bigger for everybody. I want to see who I have as my number one leverage play because I'm guessing it's a lot of this Angels team. I don't know where the hell my leverage column is. DK Lev, got it. Honestly, didn't think I was going to find it. All right. My number one leverage play today is, Joe Adell, Zach Neto, Taylor Ward. I think the Angels are massively underowned. Austin, there's an NFL show constantly. All right, schedule for the rest of the day. I'll hit everybody with what we've got. We've got shows. We don't stop doing shows until like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. All right. So coming up next, 10 a.m. Eastern time, you get Laffy, you get Matt Gajeski, Showdown Strategy Show. They're going to be breaking down tonight's first NFL game. 11 a.m. Eastern time, Pick'em Strategy Show. Aton, Lindy, they're breaking everything down from a Pick'em perspective. Eric and Bellman will be back later tonight for MLB Live Before Lock. And then tonight at 7:30, you get Laffy and Greg for NFL Live Before Lock before Thursday Night Football. So there you go. My top three leverage plays are three guys from the Angels. There's clear separation. I think Bryce Harper is the number one play on the slate if he's available. Schwarber close second. Michael Harris is up there as well. And if we're just talking about raw talent, Harper, Schwarber, Ozuna, Trey Turner, that's the top of the list. But Zach Neto quite high as well. Moral of the story, Angels. Jacob, no, that was just for the main slate. All right. So we've walked through those three teams. My first step of the sim should be done. It is. So I'm going to run round two. Do you guys have a team you want to look at? I saw Ice Through mention the Padres. We could do that. Happy to do that. So I have the Padres 5th in top stack. Stochastic has them 3rd. So this is a team that I disagree with a little bit. Could be interesting. The fact that Casey Mize... Wait, that's not right. Oh, yeah, that is right. Casey Mize isn't getting all that much ownership. I mean, I certainly like the top of the lineup. The Tatis, Profar, Machado, Cronenworth core. I'm a fan of that. Less so for Cronenworth because it's first, but Tatis and Machado and Profar all look pretty good today. I think they're properly owned. My assumption is that they're just not really going to exist for me. I mean, we're going to have an answer for it in 2 or 3 minutes. But as I look at it, I don't see it. But, I'm certainly going to have some. Doesn't strike me as the team that's just jumping off the page. I think I'm going to be inundated with Angels and Phillies and potentially a lesser extent the Braves. I think I'd honestly be more likely to get to the Tigers than the Padres. I bet Matt Vierling and I bet Andy Ibanez to homer. So I'm going to put that out there right now. But Perez has big problems with righty power. This park plays up righty power. You've got Torkelson with a big stick here, Dingler, Malloy, Rogers, Vierling, and Ibanez. Well, Ibanez against righties, or against lefties rather, has a really big X ISO in a relatively small sample. Vierling doesn't have the big X ISO, but should be hitting leadoff on the road, which helps. But yeah, I don't expect to love the Padres. If you're going to the Padres, you're probably not getting too far out of those first 5 guys. And you can't even roster Arias and Cronenworth together. I really don't have much to say on the Pirates-Nats side. Like, that is just a blank game. Riggs, it's possible that, it's possible that you just caught it at a time where data was changing. So, like, let's say, for example, you ran the sim and projections updated for a new lineup, but ownership didn't update yet. There's like a minute or 2 lag in between those two things. Well, if you run that, you could run a lineup where you have some guy projected for 10 fantasy points that's now projected for 0 ownership. He ends up looking ridiculous. All of his lineups that come out have this massive sim ROI because the expectation is that no one has this guy that's like the best value ever relative to the ownership. When the ownership gets back in there and, that guy then projects for like 8 or 9% ownership, he looks average. His ROIs are like average, and all of that top lineup stuff comes down. That's my assumption for what happened. It's sort of like the same situation as like running an NFL one early. When you're getting those changes in lineups, it's something like that. Honestly, like if you see a number like that, like 100 is probably like the realistic range. There's going to be like different slate sizes and stuff. There's going to be variability here, but if you see something like 200 and change on the MLB side, it's probably a data thing. This coffee is so damn good today. I want hot coffee like basically every morning, and I am so damn lazy about actually making it. But today I couldn't help myself. I just wanted, there's something about like hot liquid in the morning that changes my day. Big old scoop of this like coconut chocolate protein collagen powder, cookie dough, chocolate chip cookie dough creamer. Now, I don't go crazy. Saw sugar, tablespoon, like 30 calories. We're good. This tastes like heaven. It's chocolatey and coffee-like and mocha and creamy. It's the greatest drink ever. And it doesn't cost me $6 like it does at Starbucks now. Those jerk-offs really ran up the bill. All right. So I've got about 5,000 lineups left to run in my sim. Let's talk a little bit about the pitching that we have for today, because we're doing it again. All day, every day this week, we've unloaded a full clip on these Braves pitchers. I had 80-something% of Morton yesterday. He went for 20 plus. Was it Sale 2 days ago? I think I had him in everything. And today, it's the same scenario. I've got Ronaldo Lopez projected for 5 more fantasy points than anybody on this slate. Even at 9,900, I have his implied ownership at 66%. I think he's a 50-50 shot to go for 21 or more. As I see it, Ronaldo Lopez, no-brainer number 1 option. I couldn't go a different direction. just in case anybody's curious, Ronaldo Lopez is the highest projected guy on the Stochastics projections. Now, it's only a 1.5 over Ranger Suarez. I've got the gap significantly bigger. Doesn't matter. Directionally, the answer is Ronaldo Lopez. All right, my sim is complete. Lineup selector is done. Let's see what I have in my top 50 for tonight. At least they were nice enough to still give us 25K up top on the FanDuel side on the DraftKings side for the main slate. Because if they ate that one, I would have been very unhappy. All right, here are my exposures at 9:26 a.m. Can we all cross our fingers and hope that I have a lot of the Angels, please? Because it's going to frustrate me if I don't. I don't. I'm under the field on the Angels. Turns out I have the Tigers, which is something I expected. That one I'm not surprised by. But I didn't get the Angels. And honestly, I hate it. I hate every bit of it. I unloaded a full clip on the Phillies, which that I expected. So, Jam City on the Phillies. Now, this could look very different if Bryce Harper ends up out. That changes the entire scope of this lineup. Like, they would drop dramatically. But, I mean, I'm running basically 40% of Schwarber, Turner, Harper, Castellanos, Stott, and another like 20 to 25 on Real Muto, Marsh, and Hayes. I'd like more Kobe Clemens, but just that's not the spot. I came in slightly light on the Braves, which is pretty much where I expected. And I'm getting to the guys that I would want. All of the outfielders getting rotated through. Little tiny bit of Olsen, nothing crazy. And then Sean Murphy. But my number 2 team here is the Tigers, and I like it. I can't lie. The Tigers are probably my second favorite stack behind the Angels. I mean, the Phillies are my favorite stack because success will happen more frequently. But I like the Angels and GPPs, and I think the Tigers are second, and I'm happy to be getting them here. They're absolutely free. Riley Green is the only guy that has a real salary. They got a bunch of guys in the 2Ks and 3Ks. And I'm sitting around, 20% on Veerling, 20% on Ibanez, 20% on Torkelson, 20% on Dingler, 10 to 15 on Riley Green, on Jake Rogers, on Creedler. I don't know who Creedler is. That's the first time I've seen his name. He looks like he sucks too. But the reason I like the Tigers so much is because there's 23% ownership coming into Martin Perez. And that is really interesting leverage, in my opinion. Because you don't there's 54% ownership going into Ronaldo Lopez. That's not the kind of leverage I'm chasing down because he's good and they're projected to get the shit kicked out of him. Same for the Marlins situation today against Suarez. He's getting ownership. It's part of the reason I like the Rangers a little bit, or I like the Angels a little bit more. But if Martin Perez is going to be the 4th most owned pitcher, I think there's a lot of potential here for the Tigers. Are they a good offense? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But I like the opinion. I like the ability of getting to these guys here. Lineups will matter a lot. Let's see what I have on the. Actually, we could look at one more team. I'm actually over the field on the Nats. So you got Bailey Falter. Isn't any good. A little bit of ownership. Nothing crazy. Okay. So this Nats exposure is a little phony because I have 48% of Jose Tena right now. Now, he, in Steamer projections, sucks so bad. 263 WOBA, 29% K rate, sub 100 ISO, but he's a $2,700 third baseman. And that appears to be unlocking everything for me. So while it doesn't appear that I'm actually stacking the Nats all that much, I am, however, playing a shit ton of somebody that might not be better than me. Now, to be fair, Taney is 23. He was the number 10 Nats prospect coming into the year. Tania is a hard-swinging infielder whose best fit is at second and third rather than short. He's going to strike out a lot, but has enough power to be a relevant role player. Now, he hasn't hit anything in 100 plate appearances in the league. League average so far this year in WRC plus in 79 appearances. He has 400 plate appearances in AAA this year. 118 WRC plus, 195 ISO, little hit lucky, has some speed to offset it. I think he might be getting... No, every other projection model hates him even more than Steamer. Holy shit. Okay. Either way, I love it as a DFS play because 2,700 and third base is nice. There's a reason he's 16% owned. So it looks like my main stacks are Philly and the Tigers with a little bit of the Braves. I don't have the Rockies. I essentially don't have the Marlins. And as I expected, the Padres, very low on the list. Pitching exposure, however. Let's figure out where we're at here. And then let's build a lineup or two. Remember, NFL show coming up next. Also, sign up for our NFL package. Before we look at these pictures and we keep going, let's talk about the fact that you can get a hell of a deal here on our NFL package. $1 using the promo code KICKOFF for our light and core subscriptions. Now, there is a link in the description of this video. You can click it. Takes you right to where you want to be. You get the pre-contest simulator, the contest generator, the single game simulator, all the projections that hit everything. It's not just like a slate. We have projections for showdown, main slates, every combination, everything that exists. We have projections for it. We've got ownership for all the showdown slates and main slates and whatever. All the advanced data, all the tools that I just mentioned, $1 single. Click the link in the description of this video. Use the promo code KICKOFF when you check out. Light and core packages for $1. If you hate it, cancel during the week. You're only going to be out $1. This will cost you nothing else. I think you'll stick around. I have 96% of Ronaldo Lopez. And we have figured out why I don't have the Angels. I have 84% of Cody Bradford. And then I basically don't have anybody else. So I am hard fading Ranger Suarez. And that makes sense. I have Cody Bradford and Ranger Suarez basically with the same projection. One of these guys is $1,800 cheaper. What do we have Bradford projected for? Yeah, so we have Bradford at 16.2. We have Suarez at 17.4. So, we could probably safely say Suarez is like a half point better. So I'm apparently running away from that. So I am not getting to the Angels at this moment. It seems like because of ownership stopping me and forcing me to get to Cody Bradford. Which is a tad frustrating. But there's not really anything I can do about it. It appears to me quite clearly that the two best pitching options today are Ronaldo Lopez and Cody Bradford. However, I'm a huge believer in the Angels in GPPs. I think what I'm seeing here is that Ranger Suarez is the most over-owned play for today on the mound. I have negative 11 leverage on Ranger Suarez. So, yeah. To a degree, I kind of wish I got a little bit of the Marlins, but they're so bad. What's the point? All right, let's build a lineup. What do you guys say? This is the most fun part of the show. This is my favorite tool that exists at Stochastic. By the way, it does exist for football. It's not just baseball. You guys can watch guys build it out a little bit later. We're going to run into the MLB single lineup sim, and you best believe that we are building this lineup with the Angels. So main slate, large contest, 25 to first. We need an Angels stack. Obviously, we're putting Ronaldo Lopez in this stack as well, so I'm just going to click that dude's name right now. We'll figure out the second pitcher later. But I want Taylor Ward. I want Zach Neto. I want Logan O'Hoppe. I guess I want Anthony Rendon because he plays third. That's ideal. And then it's... Am I going to really make an Angel stack and not roster a single one of their 3 second basemen? Is that happening? Do I go Drury? Or do I just get Joe Adell? I got to get Adell. I just like him too much here. Might not be the right play for it. We're probably going to be able to upgrade this Adell spot, but I want to start there for right now. So we have $20K salary remaining. In terms of our second option pitcher, it can't be Cody Bradford, obviously, which helps. I don't want it to be Martin Perez, but to a degree, I feel like it has to be. So we're going to take Perez. And now we need a 3-man with a first baseman, second baseman, and outfield. So the first thing that I'm going to do, since we have 4,600 for each player, we're going to be able to be really aggressive and then probably upgrade somewhere else. The number one second base option is Marcus Semien. So we could game stack this. If we go Semien, Nate Lowe, Adolis Garcia, it leaves us 1,200. Can Martin Perez become anybody else that's more interesting? No. I'm going to test this one right now. I'm not expecting big things here. Especially, I don't mind leaving 1,200. I think we can make some changes and upgrade this Angels lineup, or simply just not go with Texas. But I wanted to look at the game stack first. Okay, 33. Which reminds me, I'm going to run the main sim on the back end right now so we can get some context. Pre-contest generator, 5,000, go. All right, so let me yank Garcia out, Semien out, Nate Lowe out. I'm gonna pull Rendon. He just doesn't have a good enough projection. So we can go. I'll probably go Chenul. We're not gonna go Drury. I don't want Rendon. I have Ward and Adell already, so we don't want anybody else there. Yeah. Let's add Chenul instead. He's a better value, better projection. So now we have second, third outfield. So let's think about it in terms of filling second and third with the best possible options. Because again, we have a lot of salary. So Semien ranks very high, but so does Bryson Stott. And we're probably in a position where we can take on ownership. If I get Bryson Stott and Schwarber, I still have 4,500 for a third baseman. in that situation, I could take Josh Jung as the highest projected guy. Let's see if this looks any better. I think this goes up. I think this allocation of resources is just simply better. I think we added fantasy points to our... Oh, down to 20. All right, pull the plug. That ain't the one. I mean, we're still building good lineups, obviously. Maybe the Angels are just not the answer that I thought they would be. That's also possible here, too. All right, Context Sim is running. We've got, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes. So we're going to be able to get through another build or two. I'm going to pull Joe Adell. I'm going to pull Joe Adell. And I want to go back to this Texas plan here. Semien, Garcia, Josh Jung, Wyatt Langford. Test this 4-4. What I think is the problem here. Okay, we're at 39 again. Ooh. I got to take a screenshot here. Give me 1 second, guys. All right. Before we move any further on this single lineup sim, I'm going to rerun the contest generator and make sure we get that locked and loaded. Let's build out what we think is the top. So I want to see the context of what we need to build. We've established that we can get into this like 35% range, but we need to figure out what the ceiling is. But what I think the problem is leaving out Philly and Atlanta. They're the clear two best teams. And I think you need some of them, because they're the best plays, to really unlock the top of all of this. So the way that I'm thinking about it here is that we're going to go to that Angel stack, but we need to look more at Philadelphia and Atlanta for the rest of it. Like a 4-4 Angels Phillies, or a 4-4, might help to go, since we have Ronaldo Lopez, grab the Braves. Because if things go well for Ronaldo Lopez, at the very least, you assume the Braves are winning the game. I'm going to be so sad when this coffee's done. All right, assigning payouts. It's 9:44. Reminder, we have shows for the next couple hours. Showdown show at 10 a.m. Pick'em show for the NFL at 11 a.m. I've got Odd Shopper Live at noon. We've got MLB Live before lock tonight, NFL Live before lock tonight. We are going to have a live show on either the Stochastic channel or the Odd Shopper channel. I started this at 9. We've got a 9, a 10, an 11, and a 12. 4 straight hours. If you're at work or at home with nothing else to do, we've got you covered for 4 hours. 4 distinctly different shows, I might add. You're not going to hear the same shit twice. The stuff I'm talking about now doesn't really exist on the other 3 shows. The Showdown Strategy show on the next one is not going to be the same thing as the Pick'em show at 11. When I roll back for Odd Shopper Live, we're betting on home runs and stuff, not breaking down slates with salaries. Now we know. Top lineup out of the sim is 70%. Anything 50 or higher, and we're really cooking. So, on that note, puts into perspective the things that we've built. 40 looks really good. I'm not as upset about the thing that I've created here. But I do think that we could squeeze out a little bit more by working in some part of Philly and Atlanta. I'm going to look at Atlanta first because we haven't really. So if we want to think about Atlanta, we have a lot of salary to go around. I'm hoping that these Angels guys are a good enough offset. Offset? I was really happy with that. Michael Harris has to go into the lineup. I think Jorge Soler has to go into the lineup. I think you can make a case for Whit Merrifield, and that's okay. Third is where it dies. Is third where we unearth Anthony Rendon again? We can. That's a 5-3. If I just for a second, I got to take Harris out of there. Okay. Got to put Harris back in then. I'm going to look 5-2-1, I guess. Highest projected third baseman would be Josh Jung. I don't really have. I mean, I'm going to try Urshela here and go 4-4. I don't love this. I still expect it to be positive, but. And I guess I haven't. No, negative. All right. It's not Atlanta. Atlanta's not the path. I guess I haven't talked about like my theory for the way that you do this. Because I think you got to do two things at once. Like you can pretty quickly identify the stack that you want. And like I can build this out. And for the most part, I don't care who I'm selecting. It doesn't matter as much to me in that regard. Like I'm happy that like you can build around it however you need to. But what I'm doing now, when we know that we have the salary and stuff left, now I want raw points. Like when I'm building out for my stack, I'm probably looking at the best combination of the value metric and raw points. Now, when I could build this out, I want to sort by raw projection and get the points in, especially when I've already taken a low owned team. Third base seems to really suck today. Like number one value third baseman is Tena, which, just out of curiosity, if I pop him in and pull Perez, is anything good at pitcher? No, it's still Bradford. That's really the issue here. We're just getting blocked out of good stuff. All right, let's try a different team. We got the Angels into the 30s. Guys, if you want to see one more team, we're going to build that out right now. Do we want to do Tigers since that was the team that I think is also kind of sneaky today? Because anybody can build, or do we want to try one of either the Phillies or the Braves and try to get different? Anthony Arlovsky says Nats. All right, let's do Nats. You're the only answer, you're the only answer, Anthony. That I felt like Ron Burgundy there. The arsonist had oddly shaped feet. The Human Torch was denied a bank loan. All right, let's do Nats. So we start by filtering down to the Nats. First thing that I'm going to do is sort this by value. Now, right out of the gate, I see an 8 projection and the best value. I bet on Chaparro like almost every day. Chaparro's going immediately into this lineup. Taney is going immediately into this lineup. Give me 1 second. So that's 2. Let's get Vargas. Not the best. Let's evaluate high projections here too. So we're going to skip Irvin and Falter. We're going to take Dylan Cruz, clearly. Yepez dies so that Chaparro can live. CJ Abrams is wildly overpriced. We're going to skip that for right now. Keeper Ruiz looks good, so that kills catcher. James Wood outfield, Jacob Young outfield, or Vargas. I'm going to go Vargas for the value and pop him in at second. So now we need 2 pitchers, a shortstop, and 2 outfielders. I like where we're at here. So from a pitching perspective, I am of the belief that Ronaldo Lopez is just sort of like the cheat code answer for today. And I'm anticipating us having a lot of salary, considering 3 of the guys from the Nats are sub 3K. So I like this spot here for Lopez. It does sort of make me think that we go Bradford first, but I kind of want to just go Suarez. If we go Suarez, we still have 4,700 a person. So clearly we're going Suarez. And now we need a shortstop. And this is where we might be able to grab Philly, even though they're expensive. Can we get Trey Turner and Schwarber and Austin Hayes? That projection is like 5 higher than what it's been. We might just be eating too much ownership. Let's go. 43. You know, that's a by hand top 40 lineup, probably. If I favorite the top 50, cutoff is 45.5. Yeah, we're like, I don't know, 60th ranked lineup. And that's just first try. I'm going to take Hayes out. I'm going to take Schwarber out. I think the Turner piece just has to stay. But in lieu of Schwarber, what if we go Castellanos, and then we don't have to go all the way down to Hayes? We can go Marsh. Is Schwarber punt play better than Castellanos Marsh? I don't know. Doesn't matter. Is it the same thing? It's worse. It's worse for sure. So what if we do... This is going to be the interesting piece to me. What if we keep the Schwarber piece and have 2? But now, instead of just limiting us to that Philly outfielder, although Hayes does project better than everybody else, so we're going to end up doing that. It's just got to not be Schwarber, I think. What if we punt on Turner? What if... Does Atlanta make any sense here? Can we go Orlando Arcia, Marcelo Zuna, Jorge Soler? That's going to be too much ownership. All right, 39. Now, this is where we're getting to a spot where I'm going to pull Suarez, Ranger Suarez, that is, and go Cody Bradford. We're going to pull Arcia, and I'm going to pull... We're going to get different in a different way. Who do I... Pull Keibert Ruiz, get CJ Abrams in there. So now I have the 5-man Nats, 2-man Braves. And then I could one-off catcher. I mean, let's go with Jake Rogers to start. I don't think that's going to be the discount I really wanted, but I'm interested in the allocation. Ooh, Andrew Martinez. Let me take a look at that. All right, we're at 35 again. If we look at Atlanta outfielders, yeah, I mean, in theory, we want Harris over Soler. Abrams is definitely not the right answer. If I go back to Arcia there, all right, the chalkiness of this lineup is going to be interesting. We have $1,000 left over on a 4-4 Braves Nat stack. In theory, I can make Harris be Soler if I wanted to, but I don't think that's the spot. There's going to be a spot where we could use that $1,000 to change this lineup. Probably cut Arcia, get more fantasy points, potentially at a lower ownership. And that's going to be the last thing we do because we have like 2 minutes before this goes live for NFL. 43.5, we hit it. Let's get Arcia out and let's try this one last time. If we take Orlando Arcia out, we can go to someone that projects for 0.8 of a point more, but more ownership. So it's not Arcia. It's got to be Vargas in the second base spot. Nope, not him either. I don't think it's Dylan Cruz. I mean, Tania is so cost effective, but maybe third base is just the spot where we need to fix it. And this becomes a 5-man Braves stack. No, Tania has the best projection of anybody at third base. I think we just sort of built a great lineup. If I take Chaparro out, is that it? Nope. That's also not it. Chaparro projects as the best guy that we can get into this lineup right now. That's where we're at, folks. NFL Showdown Strategy Show is coming up next, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. I got to get out of here. Thank you guys for being here. This was fun. The czar of the single lineup simulator does it again. I'll see you guys tomorrow as we close out the work week.